we are recording. Tonight is November 21st, I think. And this is our Monday night team call. And tonight our special guest is my amazing husband, who is actually sitting behind me. He's not a small person. And I'm super excited because recently he had an opportunity to talk about Plexus. He's really good about talking about Plexus anywhere, literally. When we were in Dallas a couple weeks ago, he was talking to every Uber driver we had about Plexus, the hotel concierge about Plexus. He was talking to the waiters at the restaurants about Plexus. He was on it before I was on it. And then he'd be like, babe, where's a sample? Where's your card? And so it's fun to do this with my spouse. And he had an opportunity to share Plexus with his work recently that I thought he shared it a couple more times. And every time he shares it, I'm like, I think my team needs to hear this. Hi, Cody. Hi, Carissa. And because it's really great point what he made and what this client of his was worried about. I'm trying not to use a name just in case. And so he was doing carpet at some people's house and got talking with the homeowner about Plexus. And then I'll let him take it over from here. I'll trade you spots over here.
This is my first Plexus call. How exciting is this? So you're all muted, and I can't hear your responses, but it's exciting to be here. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me babble, because I am by far not a Plexus expert. But I am an aggressive person when it comes to something I believe in. Number one, I believe in my wife, and number two, I do believe that Plexus works and it helps people. So as she asked me to say something tonight, I thought, well, before I get to that story, I just want to preface it with something because it's important. You hear a lot of people use catchphrases. It doesn't matter what business you're in, there's always catchphrases. And some people will say it's important to be confident but not cocky. And sometimes those lines are hard to draw because a lot of times confidence is taken as cockiness. And I believe that confidence doesn't come from trying to sell something. It comes from the fruit of you believing in something. So it's the difference of someone, let's use a spiritual example. If you're going to share Christ with someone, a cocky person comes up and shares the facts of what they know to prove to the non-believer, whatever it is, that Jesus is real and here's the facts and I know all these things, versus someone, their approach is completely different when they're coming because they're so sold out for what they believe. They're so passionate about what they believe that love for what they do and what they believe in bleeds through everything they do. And when I share Plexus with people, it's similar to me back in the day. Some of you know this and some of you don't, that I moved to Minnesota to join a Christian band. And I was in that band for close to 10 years. And it's amazing how when we first started, there was a lot of people, including my parents, a lot of my siblings, that they were supportive very little. They wanted to be supportive to say, yeah, we support our brother, we support our son. But really, several of them had conversations with me saying they were just waiting for us to fail. They wanted us to fall down, and they didn't see how much hard work we put into it day in and day out, day in and day out, how many showcases we did for record labels, how many bands we opened for, how many people we tried to get to know and give our demos to. And it wasn't until we finally started to have some success that all of a sudden everyone jumped on the bandwagon. Everybody. And this bleeds into what I want to talk about tonight, because it doesn't matter if it's network marketing. People will say it's just because it's network marketing. It doesn't matter if you're starting a coffee shop. It doesn't matter if you're starting a ministry. The naysayers are always there. And I want to make this abundantly clear, that the most of the time naysayers are naysayers is because they're jealous of potential success. And it won't be until you start to have success that they want to jump on that bandwagon. And if they don't jump on the bandwagon, most of the time they will still remain negative because they're jealous of your success, and they will find whatever they can to mock it, to knock it down, to speak curses against it. So what I want to set free is the fear that you're facing these people because it's network marketing. The truth is you're facing these people because you're pouring your heart and soul into something. You're trying to do something. It doesn't matter if you're sharing Jesus with people. I've caught crap for doing that. It doesn't matter if you're starting a flooring business. I've caught crap for doing that. It doesn't matter if you are starting network marketing. You'll catch crap for all of it. So I want you to take things that people throw at you to make you think this isn't normal. I'm being segregated here because of network marketing, and throw that lie totally aside. And I just want to share with you one of the ways that I responded to someone who came and wanted to spew vitriol on the Plexus. So again, the why you do it is extremely important, because you don't ever want this to be something that you are doing just to make money off people. There's got to be other reasons as to why you do it, or you'll find yourself very empty at the end of this process. Because even being in a band, as much ministry as we wanted to do, and that being the leading cause for us making the sacrifices we made, if we didn't make any money, we didn't keep going. And as much as people don't want to admit, it is a business. And we had to write songs that did well on radio, to sell CDs, to go on tour, to sell t-shirts, to sell tickets for people to come. That way we could keep doing what we love to do. And the same is true with Plexus. This isn't a missions trip, it's a business. And because it's a business, you're selling it because you believe in it, not just because you're trying to make money, but you do need to make money to keep selling it. So one of these days, I'm going to change the names of the couple, because I genuinely love this couple. Unfortunately, they just have an old school view of Plexus, of network marketing, and we'll just call them Tim for fun. Tim and Tracy, that's what we'll call them. That's easy to remember. So as I was doing some carpet at Tim and Tracy's house, Tim came up to me and said, "So Dean, how is this Plexus thing going for your wife?" And I told him honestly. I said, "You know what? She's doing really well." And you don't always get to choose how God answers your prayers. And if God chooses to answer our heartfelt prayer, which is that we want to do more awakening hope and tent revivals and traveling and preaching, it means that the flooring side, for those of you that don't know, I run a flooring business, it has to decrease. And if God chooses to use Plexus for that to happen, praise the Lord, I'm going to receive that. And he said, "Well, don't you get nervous about that? Because don't these network marketing things only last 4 or 5 years? Don't they crash and burn?" And I said, "You know what?" And this is where the confidence comes in, not cockiness. I said, I was approached almost 20 years ago about Amway. And in my opinion and experience, Amway is one of the worst network marketing things as far as payout that I've ever seen. And yet it's still around. And it wouldn't still be around if there weren't still people buying into it or some people making money in it. I said, I'm going to ask you guys the same question I asked him. Some of you I can't see, some of you can't respond, but just a show of hands, how many of you make $30,000 or less a year without Plexus? How many hands? So if you make $30,000 or less a year, not counting Plexus, this is what I said to him. I said to Tim, "So how much money do you make? Is it less than 30 grand? And he said, "Yeah, way less than 30 grand between both incomes in the home." And I said, well, it's interesting to me because Plexus, I know several people that are just good, wonderful, normal people. They don't have degrees in business. They don't have some kind of secret sauce. But they make $30,000 a month because they believe in what they do and God has blessed them in what they do. And I said, so let's crunch the numbers here. Do you understand that you make $30,000 a year doing a job that you hate, 40 to 50 hours a week? Now, if you put a year into Plexus and you made it to a diamond, let's just talk rough numbers here, and you're making $30,000 a month, which some of you didn't have a chance to go to the leaders retreat. I want to tell you from an outsider's point of view, there is a lot of people making a lot of money very fast in Plexus, very fast. Very normal people. They're just excited about what they do. They continue to persevere. And I said to this young man, what would you do if you made $30,000 a month? Let's crunch the numbers here. Let's pretend that Plexus folds in 5 years and all of a sudden you're out of a job and you've got nothing left coming in. Do you realize that every month, any of you on this call make $30,000 a month? That represents 1 year you could take off from work completely and not work. So if you stayed on budget and didn't spend any more money just because you were making more money and you made 30 grand a month, every month you make $30,000 represents 1 entire year you don't have to work. So let's crunch the numbers. That means 1 full year of Plexus income at diamond level means you can take 12 years off. Now let's crunch the numbers even more. Let's say Plexus completely folds in 5 years. Somebody invents the purple drink and it outdoes Plexus, and all of a sudden Plexus crumbles under the weight. But you've had 5 years of income at diamond level, $30,000 a month. By the way, as you already know, that's not even the cap. That's just normal diamond income. So $30,000 a month for 5 years, that represents 60 years you could take off and not work a different job. Or you can work the next 50 years at Home Depot and hate your life and triple the hours, and maybe you can retire in 30 to 40 years. Let's do the math here, buddy. And then he started to shut up because all of a sudden, I'm not trying to convince him, well, Plexus works. It's a weight loss thing, because that's not the question he was asking. You've got to answer the question they're asking. The question he was asking is, well, financially, does that make sense? Absolutely, it makes sense. Absolutely. If you are good with money and you make $30,000 or less a year, that means when you make it to diamond level, all of a sudden, every month you make that money, you are able to take an entire year off from work. So how many years would it take, or how many months would it take you before you could just straight up retire and never work another day in your life again? And that's if Plexus folds in 5 years and you never make any more than 30 grand a year. This is kind of a no-brainer. And after going to the retreat with Cassie, I was blown away how many wonderful, good people that are not business people are diamonds or really close to becoming diamonds. A lot of people. And so coming back from that place, I wanted to encourage not only my wife, but everyone around her that don't give up. Just because you receive criticism or other people don't understand it. Man, I got to tell you, when I started the flooring business, not only was work really, really rare, and it was right after the market had crashed, and it was wintertime in Minnesota, which is bad for construction altogether, and I was getting married. Man, talk about a guy wanting to provide for his family, getting married, trying to start a business from scratch. and trying to do it in the worst time of year during a drought. It's a whole bunch of stupid. But I remember this, that I had a good friend of mine offer me a job painting as an employee. And I went to take the job because I was getting married and I wanted to take the safe route. And as I walked into his office and he said, "You've got the job. Here's our expectations. Here's what we need from you. Here's what we want from you." I'm not even kidding you. I got sick to my stomach. And I walked out of his office, walked downstairs, and I just sat there. And some of the other employees came up to me and they said, "We're so excited you're working with us. Isn't this great? We got work all through the winter. We're going to pay you well. This is going to be awesome." And I said, "You know what? I know this is crazy, but I have to turn this down because I feel in my guts that God wants me to take a chance here. And I don't know why, how this is going to work, but I have to take a chance." And I try not to over spiritualize things, but I knew in that moment that it was the Lord. So I turned down full-time work through the winter, getting married, went and started a brand new business. And it took a little while to get it off the ground. Cassie made sacrifices. I made sacrifices. And over the last 6 or 7 years, I've hired almost 10 different people and had people working for me at different times, provided jobs for several different people coming out of Teen Challenge or whatever. Even now, I have 4 different people that want to come work for me full time. And if I wanted to, I could expand the business, but I don't want to because I want to decrease the business and do more ministry. So all I'm saying is take the freaking chance and don't quit just because some moron doesn't understand why you do what you do. You do what you do because not only does it help other people get healthy, but this is the business that you've chosen so that you don't have to work at Home Depot for the next 40 years of your life. It's worth it. It's worth the sacrifice. All those people, I can guarantee you this, they're naysayers because they're afraid of taking a chance. They're afraid of persevering while taking a chance because this is business 101. It doesn't matter if you're starting a little business or a big business. They all have to have perseverance while taking the chance. And if you take the chance and you get some bumps in the road, those defining moments to keep pressing forward, that's called successful people. People that experience bumps in the roads and quit, they will never succeed at anything they put their hands to in their entire life because they train themselves to quit. They train themselves to short circuit everything they do and then say, "Oh, I tried, but it didn't work." It's the people that actually get in the trenches, they persevere and say, "No, I believe in this and I will stick to it. I will pray through it and I will be faithful every step of the way. I will never cut corners. I will never rip someone off. I will never lie to anyone, but I am going to be bold and confident from every single angle." So when someone comes at me and says, "Well, the product is crap," well, I've got a lot of proof to show you that it's not crap. When they come at you and say, "Well, the business will never work," well, that's actually not true either. The business works very well for a very lot of people. Just because you don't want to sell Plexus, that's up to you. And that's totally fine. That's your decision. But don't criticize me for starting a business. Don't criticize me for taking a chance and deciding to persevere through all these things. Because I can't say it enough. The people that persevere through taking a chance, those are successful people. That's what you call a successful person. Someone that perseveres does not make excuses. When we get in the habit of making excuses, all that is us giving ourselves permission to fail. When we say, "Oh, it's because this person won't do this or that person won't," man, all you're doing is giving yourself permission to fail. Really, truly successful people are the people that come and say, "It doesn't matter whose fault it is. It doesn't matter what happened. I'm going to keep going until it works. I'm going to learn from my mistakes, and I'm going to keep going until it works. You know, the Bible talks a lot about self-deceit and deceiving ourselves. That to me is exhibit A of self-deceit, is when you experience a speed bump and then we find some reason to give ourselves permission to quit. Now, maybe the Lord will lead you in a different direction and you'll quit Plexus, and that's just fine. This is not a cult. You don't get disassociated when you leave. What I'm talking about is larger than Plexus. It's an attitude of life that when you come and you actually begin to short circuit where you are, because you experience a speed bump and you blame it on this and you blame it on that, and I gave it all I had, all you're doing is giving yourself permission to fail and going, it's okay, you can fail. It's okay, you can fail. And successful people don't do that. Man, in flooring, there's been times where I've lost from hiring certain people $7,000 in 1 month. $7,000 in 1 month. I almost went under because I couldn't absorb it. And I could blame it on the sucky work of other people that I hired that didn't do a good job and they screwed things up, and I'm the one that had to eat it, not them. And I paid them anyway. The difference is I didn't give myself permission to fail. I said, okay, you're fired and you're not going to work for me again. And I'm going to keep going with everything I know how to do. And I'm going to keep persevering through the speed bump. So instead of taking a reason to fail, you look at the speed bump and say, how can I learn from this and still be successful? How can I learn from this and still persevere? Don't ever give yourself permission to fail. That's the word of the day. So if there was any kind of encouragement I would give you, it's this, that one of the things I love about whether it's the convention or the leaders retreat is I love seeing normal, everyday people that chose to take a chance, that chose to persevere, to listen to coaching, and now they're succeeding because of all of those things working together. And I love seeing those people's lives totally changed, not because they are wealthier than they were a couple years ago, but mostly because they submitted their life through a process of not letting themselves quit, of submitting themselves to force themselves to go through a process that really helps us become a better version of ourselves. So seeing them set free of the fear of failure because they faced failure in the face and they said, I will not let you in. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to do what it takes to make this successful. You know, I look at most businesses, and most businesses succeed when they're desperate and they have no other choice but to succeed. And if you treat this like that, I guarantee you will start seeing more success, because desperation will drive you to a place of saying, this has to be successful because I don't know how else this is going to work. And Cassie is phenomenal at treating this in a desperate form of, we have goals of where we want to get to in life and ministry. It's not just about taking fun vacations. It's not just about stepping away from flooring. It's about really, truly doing what we feel God created us to do outside of Plexus. God didn't create us to do Plexus. He created us to do other things. And Plexus is just the vehicle to get there. So that's the word of the day. I'm going to ask my wife the technical questions of how to unmute this.